Okay, so the first specific example of a virus we'll talk about is HIV and AIDS. So the HIV virus is a retrovirus, so RNA type virus that infects T4 lymphocyte cells. So that's a specific kind of cell, lymphocyte as in lymph nodes. So your lymph nodes are kind of like where you produce all of your antibodies. So it's what fights off other diseases or viruses that you get. So if you attack these cells and make it so that they don't work, it's going to cause a lot of other issues and make it so that you are more susceptible to other viruses. But decreases the T4 level and the immune system fails to destroy harmful organisms. So if you do get another virus on top of HIV, then it could be deadly because your body does not have the machinery anymore to fight against it. This also can cause pneumonia, skin cancer associated with AIDS. Okay, so the treatment of AIDS, how do they figure out how to treat this? So there's two specific things that they found out, and they involve inhibiting enzymes, inhibiting the enzymes that allow for the virus to continue to multiply and stay alive, really. So there's two common targets are reverse transcriptases and proteases. So those are the two different big major enzymes that allow a virus to continue living. So the first thing that you could have as part of your a drug that could be a fight AIDS is this kind of molecule here. So you notice that it's a nucleoside, right? So it doesn't have that phosphate here, but it's not quite a nucleoside in that it has an N3 here. It's called an azide, or if you have it in the middle of a name, an azido group. What this does is it's a similar structure to thymidine, which is it's a nucleoside analog. So the body kind of thinks when it's making more DNA and RNA, it thinks that this is just like thymidine, and it's not, because it has that azide here. So as soon as it's incorporated in, it kind of kills the process. And so it kills reverse transcriptase. It destroys the inhibitor, or it inhibits reverse transcriptases from working. So it actually will attach to the reverse transcriptase and block it from being able to do anything. So that reverse transcriptase in the RNA virus then gets killed. Another way that you can treat this, this is a molecule, it's a drug molecule called Lexiva, which is a protease inhibitor. So the proteases take the long protein strands and chop them up into active protein strands. So that's what prevents protein synthesis used by viruses to make more copies. So it's going to make it so that we can't have any more copies of the virus being produced. So that's what this molecule here does, is it attaches to that protease enzyme and makes it inactive as well. So typically treatment for AIDS is going to be a combination, sometimes called a cocktail, of reverse transcriptase inhibitors and protease inhibitors. So that is how we have learned how to fight AIDS. And then additionally, we have some vaccines. So let's talk about how vaccines work or where they came from. So vaccines are inactive forms of a virus. So it could be, there's a variety of different ways that this could show up. It could be the actual virus, but it's a weakened version of it. It could be a part of the virus or something like that so that your body can recognize it. Typically what these are used for is it teaches or it gives a template to your body to be able to produce antibodies for that virus. So we'll talk a lot more in depth about this within the coronavirus and the coronavirus vaccine. So for example, polio, mumps, chickenpox, and measles all can be prevented by vaccines. So at least in the United States, these vaccines are all pretty much required. They're all given to you when you're a little baby to make sure that you will never get these deadly diseases. So this painting shows back Dr. Edward Jenner performed smallpox vaccinations on James Phipps. I don't really know why this is super important, but it shows that there was a vaccination for smallpox back in that epidemic back in almost 1800. What they would do is they found out, so they would put little pieces, or they would take the virus called cowpox, which is very similar to smallpox, but it's not very harmful to humans. It's more like the common cold versus current coronavirus. They have similar similar symptoms, but that one is a lot more mild. Or coronavirus, COVID-19 could technically be more mild in the cases. Now is a little bit more mild, but it also could be deadly. But cowpox was very mild. Jenner tried this based off of a hypothesis that the dairy workers who were around cowpox and had been infected with cowpox were immune to smallpox. And so he infected or gave children the cowpox, which then overall produced the same antibodies that would prevent the child from then getting smallpox. So this particular child, James Phipps, was inoculated over 20 times over the course of his life and never got smallpox with no effect. So that was actually at least to my understanding, that was the first vaccine that was created, or how vaccines were thought of. Let's do some quick practice real quick. Match the following terms with the descriptions below. So the first one, a virus containing RNA, is going to be, pause the video, do it on your own, then do it with me. Virus containing RNA is going to be a retrovirus. A small particle requiring a host cell to replicate is going to be a virus. So that's the general definition of a virus. Substance that prevents the synthesis of viral proteins. So it will be a protease inhibitor. So anything that prevents synthesis is going to be an inhibitor of some sort. And then using a viral RNA to synthesize viral DNA is going to be reverse transcriptase. Okay. And then our last little thing here, chemistry linked to health. So cancer, how does cancer work? Or normally cells in the body undergo an orderly and controlled cell division. So there's a signal to your body to say, yes, I need another cell. There's enough room. When cells begin to grow and multiply without any control, so they lose that regulation, they invade neighboring cells and appear as a tumor. So that's when you start getting overgrowth of a particular cell. When they invade other tissues and interfere with normal function of the body, the tumors are cancerous. So if it interferes with how your body could function, it means that that's when it's cancerous. You can have a tumor that is non-cancerous as well. So Epstein-Barr virus, or EBV, is shown on the right here. It's a herpes virus 4, and it causes cancer in humans. So this particular virus can cause your regulation system for that cell to not be able to regulate its growth anymore. And so it would then get replicated and then keep replicating over and over, because then that DNA is hurt, if that makes sense. So it can cause all of these different kinds of cancers down here on the left. I'm sorry, herpes virus causes these cancer things. You can also get cancer through carcinogens, so through specific materials that interact with your body's regulatory system. So things like vinyl chloride can cause liver cancer or liver tumors. Chromium can cause lung cancer. So cancers can be caused by chemicals and environmental substances. They can also be caused by UV light. So UV light, sunlight, tanning beds, stuff like that can cause mutations in your DNA. You can also, from viruses, are all associated with human cancer. So that's part of why it's so hard to cure cancer, is because there's a lot of different ways that it happens.